Welcome to Alan Wake 2, a game set in present day 2023, 13 years since Alan Wake has touched grass. In this game, you will roleplay as a detective named Saga Anderson, accompanied by a guy who looks and sounds familiar to the eco-terrorist Max Payne. In this wacky adventure, you'll also venture through the darkness as a feminine writer, Alan Wake, who will successfully need to rewrite his mistakes and take down the ultimate entity of evil. If you still haven't bought this masterpiece, I highly recommend it, as this is one of the games of all time. If you're still not sold on this breathtaking journey yet, come join me to take control of this narrative through this beautiful crafted world and unleash pristine amounts of Max Payne into the universe.
Oh no!
In this game, you start off as a naked man searching for children, searching for safety. Yet, just as we were getting started with our superior Minecraft roleplay, we were quickly met with the fate of an average British citizen. After which, we meet our FBI detective duo, fake English accent user Saga Anderson and Casey Neistat, Alex Casey. We are here to solve the case of cult murderers which relate to our protagonist, Alan Quake. Here we're introduced to the mechanic of Saga's psychosis. Well, she likes to call it a mind place, but I'd rather call it a mental illness. Within this temple of autism, you will collect clues throughout your journey, where you can piece together and solve the truth on why Dr. Disrespect was banned from Twitch. You also get the opportunity to sift through Saga's superpower of speaking to other personalities to get extra clues to uncover the secrets of the Dear Fucker cult. Once concluding our search and landing back into Bright Falls, our next stop landed us in the morgue, where we investigated the body of the average American McDonald's consumer. That's just disgusting. Once collecting Alan's manifesto, the walking Teletubby wasn't quite ready to leave this world. This meant we finally had an opportunity to discharge our weapon after 3 whole hours of gameplay. The dopamine rush lasted for about 3 seconds. Welcome back to Shrek's Swamp, where we went grocery shopping, but we were rudely interrupted by the local population of the deer cultists. Luckily, this was America, and this was gonna come in handy. You might wonder how it feels to play like the hero of this story. Well, in Alan Wake 2, you will shoot guns, a lot of them being your foes or friendly fire. Unlike in Control, where you can fly, in this game, you scare your enemies with a flashlight, which is a vital part of your arsenal to cleanse the darkness. So, this is where the survival part of the game kicks in. Each encounter will exhaust most of your resources, especially if you're a controller pleb. So you'll need to traverse the world and search for necessities to remain alive. Oh look, a nursery rhyme puzzle. This time around, the darkness is more deadly, and moves at the speed of simps subscribing to the latest OnlyFans drop. Fuck these wolves though. Regardless, your time to heal must be much sharper, as the Taken will absolutely demolish you with no remorse into the most terrifying death screen in existence. While the game looks visually stunning to look at, there's quite a lot of downtime between each of Saga's missions. You might find the occasional wolf or enemy, but most of the time it's just you in the spooky forest. I think this was most likely done on purpose to not discourage players from pursuing some of the side stuff, which is littered throughout the forest and other areas. At best, it's a collectible with a puzzle, which is fine, but at the same time, besides the nursery rhymes, I wouldn't consider a significant loss if you didn't find everything within the world. Alan Chud Wake plays in a similar way to Sega Game Master, but is haunted by silhouettes on the streets of modern New York post Kai Cenat stream. Yet Wake gets the flare gun, and it's pretty cool. You'll find that there's quite a lot more tension within the city sections, as every shadow you do pass could end up as one of the Taken ready to ruin your day. The survival horror elements serve as a way to connect dots between the narrative, but to a certain degree, it feels like combat can be attributed as a secondary focus rather than a primary. The Dark Place certainly steals the show through its vast amount of experimentation. From watching a full-blown musical done by the live-action actors, to changing scenes through the writer's room, Remedy continues to expand on their vision on creating absolute magical moments within gaming. So how do all of these elements tie into each other in the narrative? Well, let me tell you. 13 years ago, Alan decided to undergo the ultimate Sigma grind set in existence, but just as he was getting started, the ultimate evil decided to undercut Quaker Oats' plan to fix everything, sending him to an endless hibernation. Cut to present day in the state of Ohio, Alan, who is deeply lost within the Dark Place, searching for a way to return to his maiden. Wait, shit, wrong game. Must undergo a massive challenge with the help of the local Fed. Saga Anderson, who is assigned for a simple cult murder mystery, is thrusted into a fight between the light and the dark, and is the last remaining hope for the return of our protagonist back into the realms of reality. Luckily for her, the ultimate gamer writer has already presented her with the outline of work she will be required to do. To prevail in her task, the game will intertwine each of the two narratives to provide a somewhat cohesive story through using the terms initiation and return. Once cleansing obesity from this world, we linked up with the writer Alan Wake. But for now, let's continue with Saga in Coffee World, a caffeine addict's best dream. Yet for us, it was the worst possible nightmare, as this place was filled with soulless real-world employees. On the flip side, switching to Alan and finishing your media day at the studio, you follow the story of Alex Casey and his tragic end. Well, twice. Through the eyes of the detective, you chase a case of a cult who specializes in borderline masochism through the retelling of My Little Pony within the writer's book. But to progress further into the depths of Joe Biden's lair, we would need to find relapses of memories to rewrite scenes to fit our narrative. Once staring long enough into the sun, you'll be provided with Casey's retelling of his past, interviewing people and chasing the cult which held a death grip on New York. This mechanic is cool, as it will change how rooms look and provide an atmosphere of something more Manson family vibes. This is pretty much the gameplay loop for Alan's sections to find the next murder location. While my description is simple, it works well and it adds so much to the depth of storytelling and what really happened during Casey's travels in the search for the truth. The musical goes hard though. Returning to Saga and collecting the MacGuffin clicker from Dumb and Dumber and Coffee World, you realize you don't have the cosmic energy needed to pull off the reincarnation of Alan Wake. But luckily, Thor and Odin had an ace up their sleeve. Once saving the dynamic duo from the old lady who looms over the TV schedule within the old people home, we arrive at the same beach the writer awoke from. We kick off in an explosive concert which leads to a disappointing final boss of the game, Mr. Scratch. Once failing to defeat the ultimate evil, Casey's taken over by Scratch, Saga is thrown in the lake, and Alan is spared to live among the cringe he wrote. Wake musters his final amounts of courage and arrives to a quite pleasant celebration of bestiality with deer. Yet, we weren't necessarily welcomed, resulting in backtracking towards the writer's room. Afterwards, Alan writes his final take on his story, resulting in him getting one-tapped, stopping the evil that plagued his life once and for all. Just kidding, this motherfucker's coming back for the DLC. Was it worth waiting for more than a decade for a sequel? Abso-fucking-lutely. With the backing of the lucrative money dumpster that Epic Games is, Remedy was able to harvest all that cash and provide us with one of the best experiences that any game could offer this year. I highly recommend Alan Wake 2, and once it hits Steam in the near distant future, hopefully you'll consider this nearly walking sim on a possible Steam sale. I'll see you guys in the next one. As for now, I have a train to Kamurocho to catch.